Welcome to Good Morning Football. We're live in New York City on this Monday. It's January 22nd, January 21st. An epic day in football, wasn't it, Peter Schrager?
It was. It was. The dogs came out and the goats were out to play as well.
That is very true. And where might one find the dog mask from Friday's show?
Yeah. You know, I think it's here in the process somewhere. I saw a lot of people were wearing dog masks.
We had a couple on our show.
Yeah. Dog masks jumping the shark, right? I mean, is that like the Salt Bay of the Playhouse right now?
You guys were first, though.
Yeah.
You don't think they bring them to Minnesota?
Oh, I think they definitely do. But yeah, I mean, they're fans.
Snow
do
dogs.
anything. Right.
Snow
dogs.
On fire, right?
Cuba Gooding Jr.? Cuba? Incredible. He was not at that point in his career.
Nate Burleson, Peter Schrager, Kyle Brandt. Let's see some highlights. It was the Vikings and the Eagles at the link. Winner goes on to Minnesota. Time for the Lead Block.
Lead Block! Let's go to South Philly, born and raised. You know how it goes. Vikings fans showed up and they were on the Rocky steps. Rocky ran up those steps for a fight he did not win. Guess what?
This is disrespectful.
Might be, and I wish we had the shot. The Rocky statue is wearing Viking stuff that they threw on him, like the Trojans down in USC. Early on, though, it was Vikings. They showed up, they stared down that Coliseum, and they had a touchdown on their first drive, a perfect drive from start to finish. And the Eagles look discombobulated. They put Tate Train out. There's a wide receiver. They didn't know who to cover. All of a sudden, the ball is snapped, and Kyle Rudolph is just walking in on a perfect throw from Case Keenum. So how did they recover from the Stephon Diggs? How do they get over it? Really easily, it turns out. And then they're celebrating. They're curling in the Eagles fans' faces, and it might have been this kind of night. But wait, the Eagles got their act together in a hurry, because on the next Vikings possession, Case is going to get hit by Chris Long and picked. That is Patrick Robinson, P-Rob as they say, who says, you know what? I think I'm going to house this thing. Never mind getting in field goal range. I'm going to reverse my field. I'm going to pick up a big block from Ronald Darby, who actually gets rocked by Jerick McKinnon. But P-Rob gets in anyway, nearly trucks a security worker, and the place erupted. So we got a defensive score. Look at Kyle Long. Kyle Long, whose son was on the field afterwards with his grandfather, Howie. Was a great scene. Waylon Long. This guy's going to have some life. Congratulations, Waylon. And P-Rob signaled, we got this one, but that's not much. It's only 7-7. Let's see how these guys respond. Nick Foles responds by handing it to LeGarrette Blount, who I feel like has been doing this for 20 years, just scoring touchdowns in the playoffs and running over dudes and celebrating. He's always good for celebration. Andrew Sendejo, wrong man at the wrong time for a really big dude out of Oregon. What's up, Deuce Staley? We remember you. We love you. Number 22. We love Deuce. But okay, 14-7 Eagles. Case Keenum is back in range, but no, the rookie, Derek Barnett, number 56. I remember we heard he broke Reggie White's sack record at Tennessee, and they took him in the first round. And this play made it all worth it, because this was a massive game-turning play. Gets the strip sack. They're celebrating on the sideline. Xavier Rhodes, not a big factor, a little banged up. The whole secondary for the Vikings did not look like themselves, especially when Nick Foles is doing his Carson Wentz, Eli Manning impression. Alshon, you're so open, dude. How did that happen? We'll take another look at it. You'll see what happens. Everyone thought that Foles was going to get sacked. Alshon decided to go deep. Nate, what did you see here?
Well, listen, you see Foles evading the sack, and then he steps up. Alshon runs a post, and then as he sees Foles having trouble in the pocket, he puts his hand up like Randy Moss would, and that's a secondary route on top of a deep route, which is hard to stop.
Called this, Kyle.
Alshon had a huge game. Guys, the Vikings defense has not given up a passing touchdown that long all season. That was 53 yards. Now, though, it's 24-7. It seems to be getting out of hand. And we're going to flick the flea. Look at this thing. Torrey Smith is covered, and the throw is just perfect. That was in a bucket. That was in a thimble. The Lurie family going absolutely nuts. They'll be dancing later. Look at this little deke job. Give that man an Emmy. That was awesome. Awesome, awesome. Great fake out by him, Nate. That's how you do it.
You can't oversell it. You don't want to engage too much because he might grab you. He ran it perfectly.
Trey Wayne's got feet in it. Look at Harrison Smith. It was that kind of day for everybody in purple, including that man, Mike Zimmer, who I got to imagine did not recognize his defense, especially on third down. They could not get off the field. 31-7 here. 4th and goal. Case throws it to Thielen, the clutch guy all season. It looks like he makes another Adam Thielen type grab. Those beautiful yellow gloves we've loved all year, but if you look at this, the ball hits the ground. No need to send it to New York. You don't even have to. They did, of course, and Happy got the call right. No touchdown. Thielen furious. Again, I keep saying it. That kind of night. Look at these cutaways. These are the champions of the season. One catch on the first drive and did not make another catch, Kyle Rudolph. Meanwhile, Chris Long is barking at the link, as he should, because we are about to finish this thing. Here comes your stone-cold stunner to Alshon, his second TD of the day. Just put it up high for the big man.
That pass could not be thrown anywhere else for completion. They put it exactly where it had to be. And look at this.
Wentz with the cane. Last week it was a crutch. We're progressing. Maybe it'll be a walking boot next time. Who knows? Some orthotics. We got Eagles and Birds living together. We got owners dancing with former Dolphins, and we got a date with the GOAT. Eagles v. GOAT. Skull, which they changed to Foles. What do you think?
I was mad about it, but then I saw the Rocky steps, and I said, okay, eye for an eye.
What goes around comes around, and 38-7, you guys, the Minnesota Vikings now 0-6 in conference games. Let's hear from the guy we saw barking up at the fans. Chris Long is with our very own Stacey Dales after the win.
Why this team for you this year?
I knew we could be in this position. You know, there's a lot that has to happen to be in this position, but I knew we had the formula and the players and the coach, and that's what we're here. But you know, we got more to do.
What's it going to take to beat your former team in a few weeks?
It's going to take the best game we ever played. Those guys are amazing players, best quarterback of all time, best coach of all time. I got a lot of respect for them. I know what they're about, so it's going to be a tough game.
Chris, you guys held Case Keenum in that offense to 7 points. They could never find rhythm. You turned them over twice in the first half. Why so effective?
Well, we knew we had to force turnovers, and we knew we had to create a spark, and we did it.
That's awesome.
Love that. Congrats to the Long family. The Super Bowl is set. Eagles Pats at US Bank Stadium in a rematch of Super Bowl 39. It'll feature one of the league's best defenses going up against one of the best offenses. The Eagles D's look dominant this postseason. Let's take a listen to Coach Doug Peterson crediting his D after the game.
I love coaching this football team. I love coaching those players in there. It's a tremendous feeling, quite honestly. I mean, it just really hasn't sunk in. I mean, it's, and the thing is about this team is, all the adversity and the negativity or whatever that surrounds the team, these guys don't listen to that, and I don't listen to that, and they come to work and practice hard every day, and they love being around each other, and that was part of, 2 years ago when I came was having that type of culture in the building where people enjoyed coming to work, and our players and coaches really enjoy that, and they love being around each other. And we've got 2 weeks now to build again, and obviously this is one of our goals, to be the NFC the NFC champion, and then represent the NFC in the Super Bowl. So we got our work cut out for us. And just so excited for the guys.
Eagles flying high this morning. Nice words from the coach there. If you're a Vikings fan, you're so disappointed in the way I look at it. The defense did not show up. Always, all season, been a little bit rougher on the road, averaging 7.3 more points on the road, allowing that. It's like a touchdown more a game, but that does not take away. And also, the guys that got them here, your Everson Griffins, your Harrison Smiths, your Xavier Rhodes, those are the guys that got them to this game. They did not show up, but that does not take away from what Nick Foles did. How was he able to look like an elite quarterback out there?
They showed up. They just got outplayed, and that team got outcoached. And people that sat there and wrote off Nick Foles, the people that sit in front of the camera like us, and then also the fans of Eagles said, you know what, we're done, we're through. And they thought it was Foles' goal. Well, guess what? This man was 24-karat magic like Bruno Mars. Nice. And I'm gonna show you a few plays right here. Check this out. My man was out there delivering to all the playmakers. You got Alshon Jeffrey on the right side. He's gonna run a post, but pay attention to the pocket as it collapses. Nick Foles, he doesn't panic. He doesn't retreat, which is what most quarterbacks do when they feel pressure. He's going to step up. You see Harrison Smith up top. He's seeing what exactly Nick Foles is seeing, and Nick Foles takes a couple steps up as Alshon makes a double move on a post route, and that's how you make a huge play. And check him out. You got Zach Ertz, who we just talked about, had an unbelievable night. Nick Foles is going to step up, and he runs an out and up. And you can see Zach Ertz, the patience, though, from Foles is what makes this play happen, because oftentimes a quarterback gets too excited, he pumps fake too early, or he gets rid of the ball too early. Now watch this. Torrey Smith, they're going to run a flea flicker, which was the most popular play yesterday. He gets the ball back, relaxes, and he delivers a ball in the corner pocket where only Torrey Smith can catch it. That right there was the best throw of the weekend. Tom Brady back in the end zone at Amendola.
It's not like they were,
aggressive. And that's what it is.
Step on your throat kind of stuff.
But that's exactly what we saw out of these teams that won yesterday. The Eagles, the Patriots, they emptied the bag. Nick Foles, they're running a flea flicker. And you got Torrey Smith, who was brought there to do what? Run post routes, run go routes. What did he run right there? A little hesitation stock block, and then a fade route in that ball corner pocket where only his wide receiver can get it. And that's why these guys are in the Super Bowl. And that's why you can't knock these guys and say, oh, well, the underdogs, they might have a chance. No, they have a damn good chance of beating the Patriots. But the Patriots are a great team. So it's the dynasty versus the dogs. It's going to be a good one.
You mentioned, Nick Foles and people on TV questioning him. It's not just Foles, though. You got to see, before even Wentz went down, this is a team before the season. There was a list on one of the other websites said, rank the 32 coaches. Doug Peterson was ranked 32nd of 32 head coaches because people thought, is this guy really a head coach? He didn't even call plays under Andy Reid. 32nd out of 32 head coaches is going to Super Bowl. Jason Peters is probably a Hall of Fame left tackle, maybe the best left tackle in football, out for the season. Jordan Hicks was their middle linebacker, the star young player, gone after the season. Chris Maragos, our best special teams player, injured. And then Darren Sproles, who's maybe their most important playmaker on offense, out for the season. Those guys were all before the Wentz injury. So this is not a culmination of, oh, wow, Nick Foles did it. It's a culmination of the coach being disrespected, the front office nearly being pushed completely out by Chip Kelly 2 years ago, and now there are 4 other huge players on offense and defense being out for the season, and yet this team found a way to still get to Minnesota. I know we're not saying, hey, great job and participation sticker just yet, but to get to the Super Bowl is pretty incredible.
They have the mental toughness to take on the Patriots for sure.
100%. And I look at Minnesota on the other side. This game was lost week 2 to Pittsburgh. This game was lost week 4 to the Lions, week 14 to Carolina, because that's when they lost home field. They had such an amazing season. Going into Philadelphia, though, is why they lost this game. And I actually thought the Eagles were going to win this game, but never like this. Never with that defense having done to it what was done. It's almost like the Vikings had this amazing season and all the personalities and all the celebrations. Not only are they a good friend of our show, they were a friend of football this year. They were one of the great stories, and it's all those guys you mentioned, Harrison Smith, Xavier Rhodes. I didn't recognize them last night. It was like a friend I don't recognize. And after that, early on, they get the touchdown. You're like, okay, this is Minnesota's kind of night. It wasn't them out there. At third down, it was automatic for Philadelphia. It just got torn apart. So I can't imagine Zimmer, as a defensive guy, must be so frustrated. Or as a Minnesota Vikings fan, you're like, that wasn't our team that lost. That's not our team. Who the hell were those guys? Frustrating as hell.
Home field is a big deal. Now the Eagles won't have that, of course, going to Minnesota. Minnesota is out of it. So let's welcome in our buddy Randy Moss. He's actually at the site of Super Bowl 52 right outside of U.S. Bank Stadium early this morning in Minneapolis. You got to set the scene for us, Randy. How is Minnesota and Minneapolis reconciling the disappointment of not making it, but also the excitement of hosting the Super Bowl in a couple of weeks?
Well, Kay, as Minneapolis reports to work on this Monday morning, there's obviously a sense of disappointment that the fan base here is all too accustomed to. The last time the Vikings played in the Super Bowl was at the end of the 1976 season. Since then, the Vikings have been to the playoffs 21 times without getting back to the Super Bowl. In the Super Bowl era, that's more than any other team by a pretty healthy margin. I think the Chiefs have been to the playoffs 16 times since their last Super Bowl win. But it's a different type of disappointment, if you will. I mean, there was a lot of excitement about the Vikings making it to the Super Bowl this year, just because it's here behind me at U.S. Bank Stadium. They would be the first team, as we all know, could have been, to play in their home stadium. And a lot of people around here thought that was really cool, obviously. But, I mean, you can't look at this game if you're a Vikings fan and think that the Vikings deserved to win it. I mean, Terrence Newman was quoted after the game last night as saying that the team seemed to have no energy. So perhaps they were a little emotionally flat after that huge walk-off win against the Saints last week, but I mean, clearly there is disappointment that they're not going to be in the Super Bowl here in Minneapolis, but it was a beatdown last night, and so they can't look at that game and say, wow, it was heartbreaking. We should have won. There was no heartbreak at all involved in that game.
Yeah, we are less than 2 weeks away from Super Bowl 52, which is right there in Minneapolis. There might be some excitement among fans there, but how close is U.S. Bank Stadium to being ready to host the biggest sporting event in the world?
They got off to a bit of a slow start behind schedule just because the Vikings played in a divisional playoff game here. The NFL was ready to go January the 2nd. They had to wait until January the 14th, but they had contingency plans for that. So the work is coming along fairly well. Every Super Bowl venue has its own inherent challenges. A couple for this one. First of all, most Super Bowl stadiums have these vast parking lots, right, that the NFL uses sort of as a staging area for construction storage, to assemble scaffolding and platforms, to assemble the Super Bowl halftime show sets, things like that, and then they move them into the stadium. This stadium is probably the most urban venue in Super Bowl history. That's what the NFL tells me. It's so tightly packed into a corner of downtown Minneapolis, there are no big parking lots here at all. This is not a tailgating type stadium. So the NFL has had to look around downtown Minneapolis and find little open spaces where it can and rent those out to prep everything there